Hello, everyone, and my apologies for being 9 minutes late due to some technical issues. Today is, of course, 20th of December, 1:09, middle of the day by Moscow time. And as always, I have prepared quite a number of topics for you on some major developments, and hopefully, you will find the video informative and useful. And if so, please like the video, click that like button, leave some commentary. And also, if you can, please switch to my Rumble channel if it's convenient enough and watch it on Rumble, because as I said many times before, views on YouTube don't really make much difference for this project, while on Rumble, sometime in the future, maybe it will do. Anyways, I can drop even. It's Saturday, isn't it? Happy Saturday, everybody. Have a great weekend. And I want to drop a link to my Rumble on in the chat now, so that members of community can just click that link and we'll go straight to Rumble. Of course, if any questions or the topics that you want to discuss during the stream, you can send it either through this super chat feature on Rumble or through support platforms, and we will have a conversation after news segment. And okay, that's about it for intro. Let's go through some news, and of course, I have to start, dear friends, with yesterday's Q&A that Russian president held. Like more than 4 hours, up to 5 hours, that Q&A lasted. I believe Russian president answered more than 70 questions about many topics, although I was a bit disappointed that I did not hear questions on topics that I am personally interested in. One is being this strange attitude of Moscow towards the leadership of a main Russian enemy that US is, right, at this current times. And I remind you, US is a major driving force, major force, basically, behind the proxy war that West is waging against Russia. So I did not hear no questions why Moscow's attitude towards Washington is that different than attitude towards the European leaders, that being called by Russian MSM, Russian politicians, war hawks and all that kind of stuff, but not Washington, when it does make no sense, literally, none whatsoever, right? But there was no question about it. And I was also waiting questions about Venezuela, about many other topics, but Venezuela also. And I did not see no question about that too, which was, yes, unfortunate. But nevertheless, Putin did answer it on 70 plus questions out of about 3 million that this program, this TV show received from all over the Russia, from citizens from different fields of activity, right? And it was, generally speaking, it was interesting. It was interesting. Russian president did demonstrated high cognitive abilities, high level of knowledge about numerous topics, really. I mean, he's a 73-year-old, right? And to keep in mind so much stuff, by the way, right? It's not easy. It's not easy, even for younger people, right? But nevertheless, I want to give you, dear friends, I want to give you some key points of statements of Russian president. So Russia is ready to end the conflict in Ukraine once the root causes are addressed, Russian president stated while talking about this proxy war that West is waging against Russia. Kiev essentially refuses to end the conflict by peaceful means. He also pointed out, and it's not just the Kiev, obviously, it's a Western ruling class in general, because Kiev itself is not a decision maker. Western ruling class is President also said that Russia is prepared to consider ways to ensure security during the possible elections in Ukraine, and refrain from attacks on election day deep inside the Kiev-controlled territory. This is, I would say, sort of a compromise, right? Russian leader, while answering on the question, talking about the subject, said that, you know what, just recently we had elections, local elections, or this and that, and there was no ceasefire, right? There was nothing. Kiev regime was doing exactly the opposite. They were targeting poll stations, right? And we nevertheless managed to conduct elections. And if Kiev regime is serious about it, or if Western backers of Kiev regime are serious about the elections, they can conduct those elections. But to make sure that Russia will support the idea itself of election, well, Moscow might alter long-range strikes during their election day, which is yet again quite a compromise. There will be no new special military operations if the West treats Russia with respect. Russian president stated while answering to provocative, I will say, question of the BBC reporter. And at this point, only question I have: why Russia is still allowing these propagandists of the West to operate, to work here in Russia, when Russian journalists are not allowed anywhere in the West, literally. When there is an international forum and Russian journalists are there outside of the Western world, when they ask questions, they're being ignored by these criminals that are in charge of the collective West. So why Moscow is allowing this dirty scum, this filth that call themselves journalists from BBC or any other Western so-called media to work here in Russia? What the hell is wrong with their decision makers that are allowing this shit to happen? It makes no sense, man. Retaliate. Demand either Russian journalists are allowed to work in the West, or you know what? Fuck you all. Just get out of Russia. All of you. That's it. Right? But anyways, ways of Kremlin's calculus is strange to understand quite often. Russian president also went to say that Russian armed forces are demonstrating success in the central military district zone and all along their front line, basically. He also stated that Zelensky is a talented artist. Well, I have to disagree with the Russian president. Zelensky is a scum of humanity and mediocre artist, if we can call him that scum, right? Inflation in Russia by the end of the year will amount to 5.7, 5.8%, according to Russian president. And well, it is good that, generally speaking, inflation is below double digits. But president himself noticed that this is average numbers, right? This is average numbers, and in day-to-day life, many citizens may not actually feel that inflation is decreasing, and this is true. If you go to supermarkets, by the way, and actually pay attention as ordinary people, as we do, by the way, right? We notice price increases. Then yes, inflation is there for sure, and it might not be like on the level of hyperinflation, but it's definitely higher than 5.7, 5.8 on the food I'm talking about, right? I don't really care about I don't know about sneakers and dress and that kind of shit, right? But on the food, prices are increasing. It happens always, right? Closer we are to New Year, it's traditionally, businesses are using the opportunity to hike the prices. It's just traditionally the case since the Soviet era, by the way, since I remember myself. They always do this, right? And so I guess in December we will have a significantly higher inflation than 5.7, 5.8. Advice to Russians on how to avoid being scammed: hung up immediately when money is mentioned in the conversation. When scamming is, of course, the issue all over the world, criminals are using whatever means they have to scam their people, and this is a big issue here in Russia too. I don't really understand how people are allowing this to happen. Just don't talk, man. I'm not talking even to banks, by the way. Sometimes banks do call as an advertising or proposing some deals, and I know it's a bank because you can, they have specific numbers, phone numbers, right? So you can see it's a bank. But just to stay on safe side, I'm refusing to talk to even banks. When most definitely it's a bank, by the way, right? To fake the bank number, it's probably impossible, right? Or somewhat impossible. And why other people are talking to these strangers that are calling on the phones and scamming them, I have no freaking idea, man. It's very strange, right? Tax increase in Russia is temporary. Their burden should decrease in the future, Russian president said. And taxes are increasing, by the way, in some directions, which is somewhat understandable. After all, we are engaged in a war against the entire freaking collective West, man, almost in its entirety, with maybe exception of a couple of countries there. And of course, a lot of money is required to maintain our strength and our positions. So yes, one of the reasons for an increase on taxes is definitely high cost of warfare. Russia needs to achieve a birth rate of at least 2 children per woman. President said. He spoke about demography. There was a lot of questions yesterday during that Q&A about demography, what government can do in addition to all the programs that are in place to stimulate especially young people to have create families and to have children. And well, the Russian president rightfully said that there are a lot of programs in place, right? A lot of programs, but still, younger generation is preparing to first, study university, this and that, and then to do some to take some steps in career, right? Profession to grow as a professionals, and for the time that they think maybe they should have a kids, they already are like around 30s, right? And so yes, president spoke about demographics, and I think there is a ways to further stimulate young people to create families, and one of the ways can be social housing, man. Social housing. During that Q&A, one younger person spoke about this matter, and this young person asked her girlfriend to marry him during the stream, during that live event itself, and that girl answered positively on that. But one of the main questions this young man had was housing, right? Mortgages are too freaking expensive, especially for poor people, especially for even middle class, right? Unreachable, basically. Interest rates are on such a level that I don't know how anybody can take any freaking mortgage nowadays, right? And one of the ways the Russian president did not say nothing about it, but one of the ways this can be tackled and the young people can be stimulated to make families is social housing. Why they have to go into debt, right, and borrow freaking millions and millions when government can actually. Soviet Union was capable of providing with their houses, right? So why Russia cannot? Russia can also. So that's what should be done, by the way. Social housing, young families created. If they apply for social housing, they should get one, right? They should get house. And I'm quite sure this will play crucial positive role in in increase of the birth rate, right, and in increase of creations of the families, because it's just too freaking risky nowadays, isn't it? Michael Kennedy is commenting: 4 kids and Russia pays off your mortgage. Yes, this is correct. I mean, if you have 4 and more kids, government basically will pay almost entirely your mortgage. If you have small kids, you will get mortgage, special mortgage, family mortgage. It called it's a 6% of 6% of interest rate, right? That you have to pay. Rest will be paid by government. But even then, by the way, you see, even then, this is not working. This is not working. Houses are costing quite a lot, by the way, and in many cases, even 6% is too much for many people, right? If 2-bedroom flat, let's say somewhere in Yekaterinburg, costs I don't know how much it costs actually, but let's say 5 million, 7 million, right? Count how much 6% of that is. It's quite low, right? Anyways, Russian president spoke about demography quite a lot yesterday, and even though government is doing really many things, by the way, to stimulate young people to have kids and create families and stuff, seems like this is not enough yet, right? Something more needs to be done, and social housing is one of the ways, in my personal opinion, that things should develop, right? Russia needs to achieve their birth rate, at least 2 children per woman. He said their government should not extend their moratorium on collecting penalties from developers after 2025. It is to be I hope that their increase in recycling fees on vehicles, by the way, on cars in Russia will not be permanent. And this is also an issue. I mentioned tax increases, and here in Russia, by the way, I believe from 1st of January, taxes on the car, it called recycling fees, going to increase tremendously. And many people that I talk to are seeing this move as an attempt to support local production, local companies like Ladder and others. And you know what? I think this is a mistake. If Ladder, despite all the support of government, is incapable of producing decent cars, man, that company should be shut down, man. You know, if we have a free market economy, let's do free market economy, man. Ladder, for decades and decades and decades, are receiving freaking billions and billions in subsidies and with their indirect assistance, like this increase in recycling fees, and they still are producing freaking garbage, man. Mostly, right? Nowadays, those cars that Lada produce at least looks like cars, right? They look like a car at least, but still, by the way, it's too expensive. They should cost 300,000 rubles, maybe 400,000 rubles, right? But they cost, you know how much? 1.7 million, 1.5 million, over 1 million. What the hell, man? What the hell? Those cars should not cost that much, right? And I understand government wants to maintain this local production, but for God's sake, man, either do something with the management, modernize these businesses, local manufacturers, or just shut them freaking down, man. Let the market decide. Right? If Chinese can produce more or less decent cars in such a price cap, like 1.5, 1.72 million and higher, then for God's sake, man, local companies should be definitely able to do the same at least, right? But they are not capable of it, man. So at this point, Lada is a joke, isn't it? It's a joke since the Soviet Union. It's a joke since the Soviet Union, and many people are very much upset. Can you imagine? Even during their Q&A, by the way, one woman said that she was saving money for 5 years to buy car, right? foreign car because she did not wanted to buy Lada, and I understand why. And now she have to save 5 more years to buy a decent car that will not need maintenance every freaking other month. It's bad, man. And I don't think this will actually improve anything for Lada or any other local production. They will continue to produce freaking garbage, man, as they do since the Soviet era, man. Right? Personal opinion, I think they produce garbage, man. If price is 1.5, 1.7 million, you know what? Those cars should operate properly, right? It's a lot of money, but you know. Anyways, they are diehard Lada fans here in Russia, and they will disagree with me strongly, but my opinion. It is to be hoped that the increase in recycling fees in Russia will not be permanent. Putin said Russia has achieved their complete digital sovereignty. Russian president said while commenting on a Max social platform. I don't have account on the Max yet, but I'm gonna do it for sure. Why not? Really? And so okay. I mean, hopefully they'll be able to compete with their other platforms, other messaging systems, without unjustified unjustified state support. Right? Those companies should be able to compete with the other companies on their own. That's how free market should operate, right? Also, Russian president went to say that Russia is ready to end the conflict in Ukraine once the root causes are addressed. Okay. I already went through. Okay, I went through basically some of the topics, and that's about enough, I guess. What else? Dmitriev is in Miami right now, I guess. Early this morning, he posted that he is on his way towards Miami. Okay, I don't really understand why. What is the reason? And I doubt that many people here in Russia understands what's going on in regards to this Kremlin White House talks. But okay, maybe they will achieve something. Maybe they will achieve something. I have some doubts about it, but let them try. Right? He will have a meeting with Witkov and Kushner, most likely, either today or tomorrow, and same time in Miami, by the way, or in Florida, let's say this way. There are Ukrainian delegation led by Umerov, I believe, former defense minister, and also, according to reports, European national security advisors are in Miami too. They will try their best to make sure that Washington gonna stay on the same page with the European elites, and of course Washington will stay on the same page with the European elites. They're playing one game, by the way, right? All this noise around Trump's peace plan and stuff is just a freaking deception. It's a farce. I said it straight away, and that's what it is, actually, right? That's what it is, man. I don't think special military operation will end until either Russian troops will reach borders of the Western Ukraine, or Russia will be forced to retaliate on NATO member states with such a scale and force that Western ruling elites will capitulate even before Russian troops will reach borders of the Western Ukraine. There is just these two scenarios. Everything else is a freaking farce, nonsense, right? And they're freaking noise to mislead the people. That's all. And I think very many people will agree with me, even in the West, by the way. And I don't know in detail, of course, what Prime Minister of Hungary, for example, Viktor Orban, is thinking, but he once again said that $105 billion of EU loan, which is, I guess, 90 billion euros, to Ukraine is not for economical growth, but military victory against Russia. Western ruling class still dreaming about achieving strategical defeat of Russian Federation, and they're not gonna stop, by the way, until Russia will smash their freaking faces. They're not gonna stop. They have no reverse gear, they have no brakes, and they would not stop. They can't stop. They don't know how. They just don't know how. That's it, man. And they already allocated 90 billion euros or $105 billion to prolong this proxy war for another year. And they will find additional billions and billions to prolong this proxy war even further, right? It's just too obvious. I was talking about this stuff many times before, and nobody in our community is surprised by this. Russian armed forces, meanwhile, continue to dominate on the battlefield, and we have this morning reports that Vysoka and Svetla settlements were liberated. Svetla is in the Kharkov region. Vysoka is in between Pokrovsk and Mirnograd. Let me show you on the map, dear friends. I will make this map a little bigger. So, okay. So this is Svetla, right? In between Mirnograd and Pokrovsk. Significant number of Kiev regime's troops are still trapped in Mirnograd, and despite numerous attempts of Kiev regime, numerous counterattacks of Kiev regime in this direction to free encircle their troops, all these attacks are failing, and as I did say, and many others, only way most likely for majority of encircled troops of Kiev regime to save their lives is to lay down arms and surrender. They might try every day to escape, and some of them will actually succeed. Some of them will succeed, but most of them will die trying. So if they want to save their lives, especially ones that have been forcefully mobilized, they should use opportunity, contact Russian sites and Russian militaries and surrender. That's it. They don't have to die for Western geopolitical agenda and the Kiev regime. So 2 more settlements, by the way, have been liberated by Russian forces. Svetla there, in between Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, and another settlement is, I believe, in the Sumy region. Here. Russian troops basically crossed the border and established control over this settlement, Vysoka, which is somewhat isolated from any other settlements around. And because Vysoka is under Russian control, I expect soon Russian troops to launch offensive, possibly towards Popovka settlement, and entire this corner will become a buffer zone, basically controlled by Russian forces. Initiative is, of course, in Russian hands, and as I said many times before, in no circumstances Kiev regime and its NATO backers will be able to regain initiative on any direction. They might have some local successful counteroffensives here and there, time to time, but generally speaking, there is no scenario in which Kiev regime can regain initiative on a sectoral scale. Just not happening, right? Also, 27 drones that was launched by Kiev regime with assistance from NATO were intercepted by Russian forces past night. 10 drones each over the Belgorod and Voronezh regions, 2 drones each over the Kursk and Lipetsk regions, and their Azov Sea, and 1 drone over the Bryansk region. Relatively low number of drones that were intercepted by Russian forces, which means that there was a very few drones that Kiev regime launched last night to strike deep into Russian territory with the assistance of NATO. Probably they are stockpiling drones now. NATO and their proxies in Kiev, they are stockpiling drones, and maybe before New Year, several days before New Year, and during their New Year celebrations, basically, they will try to spoil celebration for Russian citizens, and they will conduct massive launches then. That's possibility, by the way. You know what kind of scum of humanity Western ruling class is, or Western intelligence services, Western militaries, and their proxies in the Kiev, right? So most likely that's what they're gonna try. Spoil celebration for Russian people, and therefore, of course, Russian militaries will be locked and ready to repel any provocation, to deal with any provocation that enemies of Russia are going to come up with, being long range attacks with their drones and missiles or some other terrorist activity. Also, interesting news was shared by Russian media yesterday that unknown drone crashed in Turkey, which is quite interesting. This is an aerial drone, by the way, right? And Turkish Defense Ministry made a statement that they are implementing additional measures to deal with the drones that are going rogue. And this is understandable because, after all, just in recent several weeks, by the way, Kiev regime targeted several tankers in Turkish territorial waters, right? And there were several occasions when Turkish fishermen and militaries were finding maritime drones, right? And also nowadays aerial drones are becoming the issue too. Just day before yesterday, there was reports that Turkish Air Force's F-16 intercepted one of the aerial drones that gone rogue, right? And now we have reports that another drone crashed actually somewhere in Turkey. So yes, little by little, step by step, but price that Turkey pays for being a hidden ally of Ukrainian Nazis and the fascists and operating as a proxy of their UK, I mean, price for that is increasing and will continue to increase. But nevertheless, terrorist activity of the UK and Ukraine continues, by the way, and even increases in scale, especially when it comes to long-range attacks on Russian people, on Russian assets, Russian interests, and all this terrorist activity is, of course, led by London. And there was another tanker that was, for example, targeted in the Mediterranean. In the Mediterranean, by the way, and this time around, this tanker was targeted not just by maritime drones, but also by aerial drones. I can show you a video of this attack. And I mean, if anybody believes that Kiev regime is pulling off these attacks without direct involvement of UK, man, I have Himalaya mountains in my pocket right now, even two of them, and I can sell entire that mountain range to those people. That's on the tanker. What the hell? Yeah. So there are drone attacks, and reports are that this tanker was attacked also by maritime drone. So yes, this terrorist activity is increasing. The Russian president was asked also about this attack in Mediterranean yesterday during the Q&A. And yes, he did not, respond to this particular attack, but he said that, well, there will be repercussions for this criminal activity, and there should be, of course, right? And should be retaliatory strikes, not just on the Kiev-controlled territory, but also against our military assets of NATO countries that are involved in this terrorist activity against Russia. It's just that obvious, right? Until our British leadership will feel any pain, until our leadership of NATO countries will feel any pain or any price, until they will have to pay price for their activity, they're not going to stop, man. They're not going to stop. This is just too freaking obvious. So yes, Mediterranean is no longer safe, and well, it's only a matter of time at this point, and such attacks gonna happen in Baltics too, isn't it? For now, what Moscow's response is on due to these attacks on Russian, or not necessarily Russian tankers, but tankers that are allegedly carrying Russian oil or are related to Russia, linked to Russia. On response is that Russia increased strikes on portal infrastructure in Odessa region, Nikolaev region, but yet again, this is not enough. This is clearly not enough, man. Why any vessel is allowed to enter any port in UK? I mean, how? Why any vessel whatsoever is able to enter UK? I don't know. I don't know. Right? It's strange. It's very strange. But yes, as long as the UK, and UK is leading, by the way, this terrorist activity, obviously with the assistance of US, but UK plays key role in these terrorist attacks. Until London is doing this with impunity, they're not gonna stop, man. They will continue these attacks happily, right? Because there are no consequences for them. They have not been, at least for now, right? Anyways, let's continue with a few more news, sir. And well, yesterday Russian media reported that there was another swap of bodies of the killed military personnel between the regime and Russian side, and Russia transferred their 1,013, I believe, more than 1,000 bodies of the killed military personnel to the regime, and the Russian side received their bodies of 26 killed Russian heroes. You can see a difference in numbers, isn't it? And this is I don't know, ninth or tenth such exchange. Maybe there was already more than that. Russia definitely transferred in just past several months as a result, as one of the results of recent Istanbul talks. There was some agreements reached there in terms of humanitarian fields, right? And as a result, Russia started transfer their bodies of the killed Ukrainian military personnel, and already I believe more than 12,000 bodies of the killed Ukrainian personnel was transferred to Kiev regime. And every time such transfer takes place, Russian side is receiving. Unfortunately, there are casualties among Russian troops too, and Russian side is also receiving bodies of the killed military personnel, and it's in the dozens, not in hundreds, not in thousands, but unfortunately, it is in dozens. In this particular case, 26 bodies of killed Russian military personnel were transferred to Russian side. Marco Rubio, was asked about Russia's position in regards to U.S.-Venezuela escalation, and he went to say that well, he don't really care, sir, what Moscow says about it. This is a rhetorical, in his understanding. Russia rhetorically supports Venezuela, but seems like Rubio and others in Washington think that Moscow will not help people of Venezuela if they are attacked and if they will decide to fight back their hostiles, right? And I think all of them in Washington can be, and most likely are, very much mistaken. But let's listen what Rubio himself said. Too confident, by the way. This is wrong. You should not overestimate your own capabilities and importance, right? Never, actually. So that's what Rubio said.
Secretary. So The United States, on one hand, are mediating with Russia to end the war in Ukraine, but on the other hand, the Russian foreign minister yesterday or the day before said it would be a fatal mistake from the U.S. To block the oil tanks from Venezuela and trying to overthrow the Maduro regime. So, what kind of what's the assess that you're doing, and are there any safeguard in place to avoid escalation with Russia? And then I have another question about the Hezbollah. So,
Yeah, we're not concerned about an escalation with Russia with regards to Venezuela. Um, I mean, we've always expected them to provide rhetorical support for the Maduro regime. I think they have their hands full in Ukraine, and if he's watching, Sergey, Merry Christmas. And but at the end of the day, I expected them to say what they were going to say. The rhetorical support, we understand what that's at. It's not a factor in how we consider this whole thing.
So you see, dear friends, they don't care. They don't consider Russian statements of the Russian high-ranking officials to be something worth serious take from them. And on one hand, this is kind of insulting, should be insulting for Moscow, because what the hell, man? What the hell? High-ranking Russian officials, including Russian president, by the way, during their recent phone conversation with Maduro, stated that Russia will stand there with the people of Venezuela. And I mean, statements of Russian president should be taken seriously by everybody, right? By everybody. You might like him or not, but this is the president of Russia. And he is, I mean, you cannot even compare president of Russia and, for example, president of US in terms of intellect, in terms of weight in politics and on geopolitical scale, right? These two cannot be compared, but we still pay attention to Trump's statements, isn't it? Why? Because he represents US. That's why he is a US president. And to be this foolish that Rubio is demonstrating there, that, well, you know, Russia's statements is just rhetorical support, and to be this naive if they actually believe in what they're saying there, that's quite something, man. That's quite something. They should stay away from Venezuela. They should stay away from Venezuela, because I don't think Russian president was joking when he said that Russia will stand next to people of Venezuela, right? Because Russia will. And there are numerous ways how Russia can assist. You know, Russia may not send their fighter jets to Venezuela because it's, you know, for many reasons, logistically and this and that, it might make no much sense. But Russia can assist people of Venezuela with numerous other ways, right? And as I said, Venezuelan people, I believe, on their own, and also especially with the help of their friends worldwide, are well capable of turning Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea into a freaking graveyard for U.S. Navy and the sailors. And they are people of Venezuela are well capable of turning the land of this Bolivarian republic into a graveyard for U.S. military. So the U.S. should stay away from Venezuela until it's not too late. And they should start in Washington taking seriously Moscow. They should start taking statements of Moscow seriously, because you know, only so many times Moscow can warn, right? At some point, those people in the Kremlin will say, "No, well, just f off. We will do whatever is necessary. No more warnings from us," right? And I guess we are getting closer to that point, man. After total failure of this so-called peace talks that allegedly Trump initiated, and this is, of course, deception operation on part of Western ruling class, I think Moscow's attitude and rhetoric will definitely change, even towards the Washington. That's how it's gonna be, man. Right? in any ways, man, what the hell is wrong with Rubio? How you can say that you don't take seriously statements of Russian high-ranking officials in regards to Venezuela? What is wrong with you? Don't you know that there already there are significant forces in Venezuela that are well capable of dealing with their U.S. militaries, by the way, on the ground, right? Not official Russian forces, but as far as I'm concerned, there are a numerous number of well experienced and battle capable people in Venezuela, friends of Venezuela, right? There that are waiting for opportunity to take on US troops. And I don't want this to happen, honestly, man. Because those US troops, man, you can imagine, isn't it? These are just freaking ordinary people, man, that are serving in army because probably they didn't really have much opportunity, much else to do in life, right? They went to serve in army, and they're gonna be used now as a freaking private military company by Washington in their attempt to recolonize Venezuela. So, I mean, they should stay. Best is to stay away for America. Otherwise, Venezuela gonna turn into second Vietnam for them. I'm telling you, man. There is a high probability of that. I think high probability of that. Will they stay away? I don't think so. I guess at this point, very few people believes that U.S. will back off. Not happening, most likely. So therefore, we will just see. We will just see what's going on and how correct Marco Rubio is while dismissing statements from Russia in regards to Venezuela. Also, Trump once again reiterated that he is not ruling out possibility of strikes on Venezuela and a war, basically, with the Bolivarian Republic. Okay, at this point, there is not really much to comment on the matter. So much already been said, and simultaneously, by the way, U.S. is escalating with China, not just in Latin America, and this is escalation between U.S. and China. Let's be real here. Of course, Russia has certain interests in Venezuela, in Latin America, but Russian presence are significantly less than Chinese presence. China is big there, used to be at least big, right, in Latin America. And this attack on Venezuela definitely is a part of US-China confrontation. And by the way, one more point on Venezuela. I wonder why BRICS is this freaking quiet. You know, I believe Venezuela is a partner state, isn't it, to BRICS? Or there was clearly attempt from Caracas to become a part of BRICS. Did they come? I cannot remember now, by the way. Is Venezuela become a BRICS member? I don't think so, but they are partners. And I think BRICS have to say something about it, right? BRICS have to stand up for its partners. And maybe they will. Maybe BRICS will make some special statement from the organization in regards to whole this situation. Separate countries, BRICS member states, do make statements like Russia, China, and others, right? But I think it would be better if there would be combined statement and in that statement, if BRICS member states will say that they are standing with the Venezuelan people to send a strict message to US, don't mess around, or you will find out, right? But for now, Washington is clearly emboldened, and there is an offensive against the emerging multipolar world, let's say, and especially against China. And they approved, yesterday media started reporting that they approved another military aid package for Taiwan. And this time around, this military aid package is $11 billion. Taiwan will receive 82 HIMARS multiple rocket launchers, 420 ATACMS missiles, and more than 1,200 GMLRS for $4 billion. For the same amount, for the 4 billion, Islander will buy 60 M109 A7 self-prepared howitzers, 60 M99 2A3 transport vehicles, and 13 M88 A2 recovery vehicles. In addition, PGK kits will be sold, which allows for increased accuracy of 155 millimeter shells. 1 billion will be spent on Altrus 600 and 700 M kamikaze drones. $11 billion. It's quite a lot, by the way. Taiwan will receive a lot of weapons on top of whatever they already received from the US, and obviously Beijing are not gonna be happy about it, and we all understand Taiwan now is considered by the West, by the US first of all, as another Ukraine territory. They don't care about people that live there. Obviously, it's just a territory that they can use as their proxy, as their launch point to attack China, right? And they will. It's only a matter of time. And I think China is wasting time. China is wasting time, or maybe they should actually go ahead and liberate Taiwan from their proxy regime that is in charge there, right? Maybe Chinese should go ahead and liberate people of Taiwan from those criminals, Western-backed criminals that are in charge there in Taipei. Because as time goes by the way, US will deliver more and more weapons, and eventually cost for China is going to be much higher to liberate this island. And if anybody thinks, you know what, China don't really needs to go ahead with the military operation, they have all the time they need. Yes, on one hand, I see this logic. I myself said that many times before, that China don't really needs military operation. But point is that US will provoke confrontation anyways. US is already provoking confrontation with militarizing Taiwan, with the provoking confrontation between Japan and China. Soon we should expect escalation between South Korea and China, between other US puppet regimes in the region and China. Right? So US would not wait. Western ruling class would not wait. They will provoke war. They will provoke proxy wars against China in the region in a relatively short time. They're not going to give China time, man. No way. Right? RT is also reporting that, well, DOJ in US released thousands of files, photos basically, mainly, and some other stuff from Epstein files, right? And a significant part of it is classified, right? And entire pages, by the way, are just freaking black pages. There's nothing to see there, right? The significant part of it was classified. People already are joking around. This release of these files is become a meme already in internet. In America, very many people are upset, including among Republican supporters, and understandably so, because in these files that they release, they are targeting Democrats, right? Mainly. Bill Clinton is depicted in many pictures, some other elements, right? But this is not the full files. And all of it never gonna be released. If anyone was hoping that DOJ will release all Epstein files unredacted, No, man, they're not gonna do it, right? They will use these files against some elements uh, that they consider to be their enemies, and that's what they do. They are targeting Clinton, targeting some others, right? Easy for Trump and other conservatives or Republicans there did not know Epstein and did not were engaged in some dodgy stuff, by the way, right? Criminal activity, actually. Um, it's at this point, longer this story with Epstein files continues, more damage is done to U.S. political system on both side of file, uh, and that's about it, man. Right? I don't even want to talk about the stuff. They are disgusting. American ruling class is just disgusting creatures, man. All of them, right? And Western ruling class, generally speaking, is freaking disgusting creatures. It's to talk about those people. By the way, I mean, you may throw. That's how disgusting they are, man. So, you know, let the American society deal with this situation, because after all, they live in the country where system is corrupt on such a level that I don't know, man, how they can sleep peacefully, man. How Americans can sleep peacefully when they know that their kids, their grandkids, and their kids have no freaking future, man. How Americans can sleep peacefully, man? What the hell? Don't you see what is going on in your own country? Don't you see what kind of creatures are in charge? What you are waiting for? Jesus Christ to arrive and tell you that do something about it. It's your life, right? Do something about it. Are you waiting for Jesus Christ? He's not gonna come, man. Not for you to organize your revolution there. It's your job. Oh, Blin. RIA Novosti is reporting that European Commission has threatened to cancel visa-free travel with Georgia. Okay, you know, by the way, globalists, Western ruling class is not happy with the current Georgian leadership because Tbilisi, capital of Georgia, official Tbilisi, refused to open second front against Russia. Western ruling class tried at least 5 times in past 3 years, by the way, 4 years, to orchestrate regime change. They failed, right? And they are increasing pressure in whichever way they can, right, on the Georgian government. And this is one of the ways how they want to increase pressure, right? While manipulating with their people, ordinary people's lives, right? Yeah, I mean, Georgians, majority of Georgians at this point probably have realized that West is not their friend, was never friend of Georgian people, right? And will never be friend of Georgian people. And I mean all people of Georgia, not just ethnic Georgian, but everybody there, right? Georgia is multicultural, multi-ethnic, by the way. That's how these kingdoms that eventually become modern Georgia were formed, right? So all the people there know majority of them know perfectly well that West is not their friend. And yes, if some of them want to go to West, go to Europe for travel or for whatever, they should use opportunity, because it's only a matter of time and they will shut down door. In order to create some instability inside the Georgia, they will eventually shut down door of Europe. And yes, I guess at this point, whoever wanted to flee Georgia, for example, use this visa-free travel opportunity and flee country and stay somewhere in Europe forever, they already did it. And whoever is in Georgia, by the way, still, they would not care that much, man. Is it visa-free travel to Europe or not? So, yes, threat might influence some people. If they will shut down our border door of the EU to Georgians, this will influence some people, but it will not change much inside the Georgia. Western assets never gonna become more popular than current government. You know, Western controlled elements never gonna be more popular than pro-Georgian, let's say, parties. That's it. And I will end news segment, dear friends, on this news that the Central Bank of Russia lowered their key rate for another 0.5% yesterday. Okay, probably central bank is observing some positive indicators in economy, and they decided to drop interest rate for another 0.5. But simultaneously, by the way, even the Russian president yesterday during the Q&A said that despite these high interest rates and stuff, he said that number of loans are not really decreasing that much, and this is important to cool down economy, isn't it? And I find this statement of Russian president a bit confusing because in past several months I tried twice to get a loan, and bank refused to give me a loan, and bank refused to give a loan to my wife too. So I mean, is there something wrong with us? Are we in some freaking blacklist or something? Or what the hell is going on, man? Who is taking these loans, man? We certainly are unable to take it, right? Last time, just a couple of weeks ago, by the way, I went to bank with which I work, right, where I have an account, and I never had no issues with the banks, right? I pay everything in time, always, and I was refused. Little credit, by the way, of 300,000 rubles. That's what I was asking, 350,000 rubles, and I was asking it for presents for New Year, by the way, right? For birthday of my daughter, younger daughter. Today is her birthday, and we did manage to, organize good presents for her. Anyways, with or without loan from the bank, but yes, I was asking for a loan to be able to buy some presents for birthday to daughter and for New Year's gifts, right? And bank refused me, and then bank refused to my wife too. She was asking even for a smaller amount, and that was a more social experiment because I was quite sure they're gonna refuse. So I don't know who is getting these loans, man, because Russian president said yesterday that a number of loans is not decreasing that much, and therefore there is a high risks, certain risks of high inflation, right? And that's why basically interest rate is still this high. 16% is high, isn't it? But yet again, I don't know, man. I don't know who is getting those freaking loans, and interest rate is high. 16% is from central banker, and commercial banks, if you're going to take a loan, by the way, will give you a loan under the interest of 25% at least, right? Which is crazy, man. Which is crazy expensive. Anyways, let's hope central bank and economical bloc of Russian government not gonna freeze economy, man, because yes, this attempt to cool down is maybe going just too freaking far. I don't know. Just saying. And so okay, this is it. This is it, by the way, for this news segment. Relatively short one, and okay, that's it. Let me check. There was a super chat. There was a super chat on Rumble, dear friends. Let me highlight this super chat now from Blorp. Thank you very much, Blorp, for your support and attention. I will highlight this super chat now, and I guess tomorrow we have a bigger community chat, isn't it? And fundraising stream. Hopefully, it will work out good. So this is a super chat from Blorp on Rumble. Thank you very much again, Blorp, for your super chat and the commentary and $5 donation. Free trade can stop war. Sanctions hurt everyone. Bring back start treaty negotiations. I agree with you absolutely. I mean, there's nothing to dispute here. Free trade can actually and relationships, increased relationships, positive relationships between their countries definitely will decrease risks of confrontation. I think sanctions actually hurt everyone. Russia is under some 30,000 sanctions, isn't it? And of course, Russian economy is being hurt. We are surviving. Russian economy is standing, right? We're standing this pressure, but it hurts, obviously. But it hurts Western economies too. Take a look at the euro, by the way. Despite all these sanctions, Russian economy is growing in a much higher pace than European economies, which is crazy if you think about it, isn't it? So yes, sanctions hurt everybody, absolutely. And well, bring back START treaties also. I mean, we have to take care of our nuclear weapons for sure, because we are just risking too much. All of us, humanity is risking too much, especially when nuclear powers are engaged in hostilities, proxy war, or whatever it is, whatever we're going to call it. But it's risky, isn't it? Because some error in the judgment, and humanity might actually face extinction level events. So we definitely need as many treaties in place as possible when it comes to strategical weapon systems, nuclear weapons, and so on. So yes, I agree with you, Blorp, 100% there. And Moscow is open for literally all these topics, but on opposite side, there is no willingness to actually work together, which is sad. Which is sad, by the way. Right. And so, dear friends, this is it for now. Let me once again check. So yes, I will check our boosting now. There is nothing on the boosty, and I will check now on the Telegram. Anna is at work, and I will check now if she sent her any. No, there was no question from PayPal. So this is it, dear friends. This is it for now. Have a wonderful day, great weekend, and if you will have time, join my stream tomorrow. We will have a big community chat, and let's talk about everything, really. So tomorrow at 3 o'clock approximately, as I always do, this Sunday community chats at 3 p.m. Moscow time, I will launch stream. Hopefully, as many members of our community will join as possible. Have a wonderful day, great weekend, and take care. Bye for now. And thank you for your attention.